Hey guys, Rachele here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today what I am doing here is a video. It is a VR to Juli over at PeekabooRose. And it is called Deck Delights and Deterrents. So, as I started going through my list, many of the things that are my deck delights are also on the other spectrum of that would be deterrents for me. But that does, like Juli said, that does not mean that I would never get a deck just because it is something, something might deter me from it. I might still get it for other reasons. But so the first thing that I really wanted to say about what is a delight for me, or what is like the main reason why I get decks, it's for, well, there's two main reasons. One is the artwork, two is the learning. So with that being said, I'm just going to start throwing a few down here that would be for like learning purposes. I've seen a couple other people that have done this, and they don't like having the extra stuff in there that's like, esoteric or what have you. Me, on the other hand, the more the better. That's what draws me to it. So that's why I like stuff like these. Okay. I very much like knowledge. Knowledge is the thing that spurs me on. It brings light into my life, purpose. That is like, if I feel like I am going to get some sort of learning from a deck, that's like one of the first things. That is a major delight for me. So I have pulled out many different decks just to show you the difference in all that. So this one is the occult, which has to do with the different demons, right? This is by Travis McHenry. I love the fact that it's talking about the different demons, the different colors, what they're associated with. And I love cards because cards are like, when I was learning, when I was younger, flashcards were a thing. So I think of tarot cards like that, or any kind of cards really. They're like great vehicles for learning, and repetition is the key. So I love all that kind of stuff. Some of these decks fall into several of the categories, and these particular are not necessarily, yes, the artwork, especially like these, but not necessarily the color and all that that's associated with the artwork. Now, Spirit Keepers in general. Benebell, I love Benebelwen. I love how her mind works, and I love all of the stuff. I mean, it's like trying to dig deep. I mean, from the time I was little, I wanted to be an archaeologist, I wanted to learn all the secrets and know what made people tick, and, just everything hidden. I mean, and you can definitely see that in my astrology chart too. But, so I love anything that has tons of information that comes with it. And Benebelwen's, Spirit Keepers has just tons of like knowledge, different types of knowledge, but also the artwork is stunning. Not a lot of color, and she is working on a tarot deck right now, revamping it, so to speak, with color and stuff, which I'm all about it. I definitely want to get that as well. Most definitely, because I am very much a color person. But I also love a deck for what it can bring to the table as far as knowledge goes. And with keeping with that, oops, I have other things here. Let me move this out of the way. I have so many decks out here right now. It's crazy. They're all surrounding me. So another thing that I'm interested in is astrology, and I've been digging deep into astrology. And if you watched my video like a week ago that had to do with like Western versus Vedic, I am very much exploring both systems. And I think that they're both very beneficial for different reasons. So this one has to do with Western astrology. I did modify this, which is another thing. I actually love modifying decks. It is so relaxing. You kind of make it your own. These had really ugly borders, but now I just love this deck so much. And it is a wonderful resource. When I am doing research, and I have been doing research, this deck is invaluable to me. Oracle deck. Another one by Juli and Victoria is Shedding Light on Jyotisha. I love this, Vedic astrology. So I love what these cards can bring to the table. I will literally, and I have been for the last few days, sit right at the table or wherever, and I have this, and I have my Black Moon astrology cards, as well as my charts, and I'm going through, and I am comparing houses, comparing like the different charts, and it's really bringing so much introspection into, I look at that as like shadow work as well. So astrology, right? Then let me grab these other ones. These are runes. I did do a walkthrough of this as well, the Rune of Odyssey Oracle. I got this from Kickstarter earlier in the month or last month. I love learning about runes, and I love these cards. I have seen other rune decks that just really don't care for too much. I don't like the artwork. This just had everything for me, plus the fact that it's got keywords. I love that because, like I said, flashcards. Because I just soak in so much knowledge every day, I'm constantly, that's what I do all day, is either watch videos, or I read, or I explore different like articles or what have you, or I read a book, or watch a video about something else, or when I lay in bed at night, I'll put like, secrets of, hidden secrets from the book of, what is the name of it? Like uncovered stuff, or like planet Earth, or just stuff like that. So I'm constantly taking in so much information every day that it gets jumbled sometimes. So repetition, having flashcards is like very, very beneficial to me. So that's just, and this is another reason why I love Oracle cards so much. I love tarot. I love the system, but I also very much love Oracle and what they can bring to the table, especially if there's something that is like a different system or what have you. So then I have stuff like the herb crafters. I love working with herbs and learning about herbs and the medicinal properties, the magical properties, and how they might relate to tarot or oracle or a message or what have you. And like I said, some of these will fall into different categories. I'm not big on these white edges, so I'm probably going to actually modify these. I'm glad that I pulled these out because I am going to. So I love that, and I enjoy modifying anyways. But because these are a little bit too long for me, to get a good shuffle. But the cardstock is wonderful. Let's see. Yeah, see, I'm finding it really hard because of how big this deck is to actually shuffle it really well. And that is another plus for me. It's not a, yes or no kind of thing, but it is definitely a deterrent if the deck is too big. So definitely learning. Artwork and learning. When I think of the she, I don't think of little fairies. I don't think of, you know, like, I don't think as far as like pixie dust. And I take them serious. They are serious beings. And so I think of the she as like aliens or inner earth beings. And I also love the artwork in this deck so much. This was another one that I did modify. It had the big black border all the way around it, which if there's going to be border, I prefer black border versus white border, because it's not quite as shocking, I would say, in most decks. Some decks that are a little bit lighter in nature, fine, but this one is definitely a much deeper, highly saturated deck. It was actually in one of my full spectrum tarot decks, you know, in the VR or the hashtag that I created. So for me, it's the artwork, this cardstock. Now that I cut it down, I love how beautiful it fans. I love the backs of these because the glyph is on them. I love that. And this is how big they were. Chipper, but I'll show you. So that's what I cut down, a good chunk. But I love that in all of like the minor arcana, for like instance, if I were to pick the Six of Pentacles, if that's what came out, it's like a little poem. The spirit of generosity brings fruitful reciprocity. You know what I mean. And mouths need never hunger more when those with plenty help the poor. I love that. I love that it's got that. She's got wonderful stuff in the book, which is another plus for me, which I will get to. Oops. So my number one thing is definitely, what does this deck bring to the table for me? What can I learn by having this particular deck? Another one. See, a lot of them, other than like your tarot oracle, the reason why I get different oracles is because they have different themes, which is another thing that is very much a delight for me, is having different themes. So like, for instance, if you are somebody that is extremely interested in learning about gemstones, which I love gemstones. It was like, for me, one of those things that pulled me into the path that I am, because I fell in love with the gemstones and then being able to make jewelry, but then I started researching about the healing properties and the magical properties, and bam, I was like hooked, right? And the color associations and how they made you feel, and then using them in different talismans or jewelry or what have you, and or even carrying them in your pocket and how that can protect you, and the vibrations that it gives your body, how it can raise your vibration with different, you know, stones. That was all extremely important to me, so that's why I have an oracle deck for gemstones. And then, of course, I want to know the system. So size also comes into factor, but for me, it's also about learning. Oops. So I've got these all messed up here. What's the problem? There we go. I love the size of this. I have got short, stubby fingers. So the little pocket size or tins, whatever, are just like perfect for me. So that's why I also don't mind modifying. It is definitely never a deterrent for me if something is modifiable, because I actually enjoy it. So I don't have many of the Rider-Waite-Smith actual like clone decks. I think I've got two, this one and the Universal. So then, of course, something else is Thoth. I like the idea of learning more things. There being so many different levels, not just the tarot, but so many other levels, like with astrology and the Kabbalah and all that, being able to dig deep, always feeling like there's more to explore. Because once I feel like I know everything that I'm going to know about a certain thing, it becomes boring to me. It's the learning process that is it's like the journey. That is what is so exciting to me. That's what is like my spark, you know? So learning. I think, so even like, for instance, this has a couple, because not only do I really love learning about what the different associations with different animals are, because I love animals, but this particular deck is so beautiful. The coloring is so stunning. The cards, I love the box. I love that it's got a meaty little, easy to read, decent. I don't have to put my glasses on to read it. The backs are gorgeous. The cardstock is wonderful. Doesn't stick together. It's matte. It photographs wonderful. Other than the initial of the fact of learning something valuable. So, I also like decks like such because this particular deck, although the artwork is so stunning, it's so different, and it makes you, when you look at it, it makes you want to dig a little bit deeper. So with that knowledge, one of the other things that I love so much beyond the color and what I'm learning from that particular deck, and beyond the size and the cardstock and all that, is packaging. And it also comes down to a great guidebook. If it is a deck that makes you have to explore a little bit more, I think for me, having an awesome guidebook where, because I'm not just purchasing the deck for the fact that it is tarot or oracle. If it is something that's a little bit different that has really sparked my interest and I want to get to know this particular system, like this one, this is also based on Marseille, Thoth, and Rider-Waite. So all three systems, this is emerging. So I love that whole idea. So not only am I purchasing this deck because I want, you know, to work with this deck because of the color or what have you, or what I'm learning, but also because I want to be able to dig into the mind of Mary a little bit, Mary White. So you're also, you know, just like if you ever watch like Shark Tank, many of the times they say, I'm not just investing in the business idea. I see so much potential in you as a person. I am investing in you. Well, I am also doing the same when I see a deck that is just sparks my interest so much because of the merging. I am also investing in the person that creates it and trying to understand how their mind works, because one of the big things for me is seeing how other people think and their perspectives in order for me to grow and see whether or not it changes my perspective. And 9 times out of 10, it really, really does. So knowledge is the number one thing. What am I going to learn? Color is a huge thing. Even we have like this one. This is, and you know what? Let me show you the difference. Okay. And I know this is kind of jumbled, and it's just because I've got so much here in front of me. I'm not exactly sure how to keep this in such a neat little thing, because most of my decks fall into so many different categories of why I like it or why I don't like it. So I'm not really a huge fan of the Wild Unknown Tarot. And the reason why is because they're animals. That is one of my deterrents. If it is pretty much an all animal deck in the tarot, I don't really like it. And I know you just got done watching me talk about how much I love this one. This is an oracle. It's not based on those systems. This is about learning what that particular animal spirit is about and how that affects me. Not about trying to associate an animal with tarot, which I see predominantly as human emotions and or human psyche and or the things that happen to human beings, not animals. So I'm not a huge, that's one of my deterrents. I am not a huge animal person in a deck. I'm not a huge person for cartoons, anime, even like the Nicoletta Ciccoli. Okay, Nicoletta Ciccoli. I think that the artwork is so cute. I love the deck. I could see why somebody would want to use it for like, inner child work and stuff like that. But it just, I just don't care for it as a tarot. Maybe as an oracle, I could see it. But as tarot, I just don't see it. I really don't. So, now with saying that, as much as I don't like this, and these are the same people, I'm holding on to it though because I am still new. I'm 2 years into tarot, and maybe as I evolve more, then I can start feeling it with animals because my tastes have changed from the very beginning. Things that I thought I would not be attracted to, I'm attracted to, and now things that I was really attracted to no longer affect me. I am finding that as well. I'm becoming more picky. So this one I absolutely love because not only is it not restricted by it being just a tarot deck, this is an oracle deck that has an actual theme. I like themed decks. So the theme of this is all the different archetypes. And this, oh my gosh, I have done some readings with this deck that are so incredibly deep. It is amazing. I cannot stress how good this book, or this, well, book too, but so there's different kinds of archetypes. There's the selves, which are like characters. There are the places, so places that you would go, landscapes, stuff like that. Tools, like items that we would use, like candles and stuff like that in our life. And there's initiations, like journeys and stuff like that. And there are spreads that have to do with all of these different archetypes, places, stuff like that, that paint a whole picture for you. So, sorry. Okay. Hopefully he's done. If he starts again, I'll pause it again. But this is actually a round deck. And I'm probably going to end up eventually cutting the edge off of all of these too. I'm not sure. I don't always trust myself with scissors, so when I do editing, or modifying, I should say, I use like a guillotine for the cards, which just automatically do a straight cut. I don't depend on or rely on my scissoring skills. But I love these cards. They are gorgeous. But I love the amount of like major friggin' shadow work and like, life past or life path readings, or I mean, you can just get so friggin' deep with these cards. I just don't want to know surface stuff. I want to know the stuff that is not so easy to uncover. I like discovering the hard stuff. That's just who I am. So I will say I'm not 100% like sold on the packaging. That's another one of my deterrents. It's not a deal breaker. I will definitely buy it if I feel that particular deck is going to bring value to my life or teach me something that I need to, or bring some major introspection, which it does. But I'm not happy with all of the extra stuff that's in the packaging. So, then we get on really to something like the Light Seers. The Light Seers, one of the things that I really, really love about the indie deck is the cardstock. Oh my gosh. Not only, this is like a soul deck for me. So the artwork, like really the theme of this just like speaks to me. on so many levels. It's like, it like pushed me over the edge. This deck pushed me over the edge to really jiving with the meanings. Okay, I guess that's the best way I can say it, because when I would look at a picture, it would just instantly just go, oh, okay, I got it. I see exactly what it's telling me. So that was the Light Seers. I love the fact that it came edged already, but it's in like a matte edge, and it's green. Green's my favorite color, but the cardstock is just, it is dreamy, literally dreamy. And yet I love the box. It's perfect for storing, and it comes with an excellent book. Just an excellent book. Something that makes you want to delve into it and delve into the mind of Chris Ann and how she sees it. Because by seeing how she sees it, it helped me to evolve into what resonated for me. I think that's important. I think that's just me. That's how I learn and grow. So there was that. Let me see if I'm missing. All right, so artwork is important. Color is important. Size is important. Cardstock is important. Let me show you some of the cardstock, though, and different types of decks that are, like, important to me, but also kind of a deterrent at the same time. I am not a huge fan of the rose petal, okay? It just feels too suede-y to me. I don't like that feeling, because I already, as I'm getting older as it is, my hands are always dry. So then, even if I have lotion on my hands, or I've just put it in, and I try to wait so that they're not, like, moist still, but when you touch it, it feels like your hands are all dry again. So I don't like that. I will say about this particular deck, the Destiny deck, this is a deck that I just got from Kickstarter. I love it. It's by Lisa Santine. Although this is like rose petal, and I'm not happy with that particular thing. It's not the worst cardstock by far, not by far. But, and the thickness is great, but I also love that it is gilded like in a rose gold, a matte rose gold. I love that. It's holding up so well. I mean, it's a new deck, but I am not deterred by keywords. I think it's wonderful to have keywords, especially for something like this. These are not like in your face, you know? These are just like subtle, just to help you a little bit. I don't think it limits us. I think it helps us to just remind, like a flashcard. So if you're new, something like that is very extremely beneficial. But for me, one of the reasons that I love these cards so much is because we have, like the Magician, we have Mercury here, we have air, and so for each of them, we have like the symbol, the elemental symbol. We have, like, for this one is the Ace of Swords, swords being the air signs. So then you have all three of the air signs here, their symbols. I love that. And then the keywords. So because I feel like this is not only a good deck for tarot, learning the tarot, I like that it is a pip, because pip decks help me to hone in on another knowledge base, which is numerology. Rather than just looking at the pictures and reading, I like learning different mediums, which is astrology and numerology and occult symbols and, you know, anything like that. Color association, properties, elemental, all that just makes for a really interesting reading for me. So it's a perfect combination. The only thing, and I even love the box. The box is outstanding. I will say, with this deck in comparison to this deck, which I love them both, but they're both rose petal. This one, you cannot see fingerprints on. It is perfect. This one, you can definitely see fingerprints on, which is a pet peeve of mine. I don't like that. But I also like the gold in comparison to the black. I like the darkness of that. I love that the backs are beautiful. I also love that it is a pip. The cardstock. I mean, these are very similar. It's like the creators got together and said, hey, let's do something similar. You know, I like how this turned out, so I'm going to do mine like that. Because they're almost like identical. I mean, even with the rose on the back. The symbolism. I just love it. I think it's gorgeous. And it helps me to learn numerology a little bit better. Because I don't have pictures to go by. So the reading would be different. I also love that this is gilded in a matte, not a shiny gilding. The Dark Mansions. Now, I think when I was talking with Summer yesterday, she got the second edition of this, which has got the different backs on it, and hers are rose petal. I can tell you, these are not like a rose petal like these cards. These are definitely like suede-y, you know, like they feel dry. These are not. I have absolutely no problem. They don't stick together. Granted, I've had these longer, but I don't recall having a problem with these from the very beginning. Look at how beautifully they fan. The cardstock is incredible. The color in these is outstanding. I even don't mind these borders. I have no need to trim these borders whatsoever. And I'm not a huge person on borders unless they work with that particular artwork. And with this, with it being the Dark Mansions, it just friggin' works. So it did not come with any kind of guidebook or anything, which, I mean, is a little bit sad to me because there's definitely room for it in here, just for something little, but it's not necessary. It definitely comes with, you know, your traditional Rider-Waite system is what it is. Another deck I love. I love the size of the box. I love the artwork. I love the little book that it comes with. It's little, but it's hefty. It gives you lots of information on each card. The backs look great. The cardstock is fantastic. Listen to that. That's just wonderful. That is such a soothing sound. For me, it is. I got the one that is like the opal, like the pearlesque. I like the gilding. I like it better than the black because as it starts to peel, you're not going to notice it as much. Because the thing I don't like about these kind of decks, although right in the beginning, and hopefully it's not the case, but I can already see it chipping a little bit away here. But the fact that it's a lighter gilding, I don't think you're going to notice it as much as you would with the other ones that are much stronger in color. And I'll show you a couple of those. But I love, the reason I love the artwork on this deck, because normally the artwork I go for is a little bit more romantic, more maybe Victorian, sometimes more ancient. I'm really struck by different time periods. But that's one of the things that I really love about this deck is although it is a bit more cartoony than what I would like, it doesn't bother me as much because this is like something I could see. First of all, it's very diverse, which I love. And it's very much good for body types and stuff like that. You know, all the women do not just look like Barbie dolls. But this is something that you could look at now and relate to like modern day stuff. Right? So creativity, you know. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. many different. I love that she's a little bit bigger woman. I love that. Voluptuous, right? So I do love it for that reason. But normally my art is definitely more like time period. And I got that upside down, but that's okay. So I love this deck. I love the box. The artwork is diverse because it's from every single card is a different artist. I love that because it's supporting a whole bunch of different artists. I love that aspect. However, oh my gosh, these are so stinking big. I love that it was signed. But, I mean, look at the size of how big this is. I cannot but only grab a few in order to shuffle like this. So I have to shuffle like that, which is really very uncomfortable for me. So size really matters. This would be like the perfect deck for me if it was a little bit smaller. I even love the backs. I think it's beautiful. Hopefully the gilding is not going to wear too much. Granted, I probably won't reach for this deck as much, so it probably is going to last longer just because I'm not using it as much because of the size. So although I wanted it, and I do not regret that decision, I also probably won't use it as much as I would other decks simply because the size is just way too big. So, but I love the box, everything. Another one with the size. I don't hardly ever use this deck simply because it is just so massive. And I don't want to cut it down because the artwork goes, I mean, I suppose I could. Well, I don't want to because this goes all the way down. I don't want to cut off valuable artwork. And this is the Ancestral Path Tarot by Juli of PeekabooRose. I love this. One of my most favorite types of readings to do is past life readings. I just find them so incredibly exhilarating and interesting, and it just sparks like something in me. And this is like a perfect deck for it, but I hardly ever use it simply because it's just too damn big. It is just so big, you can't even easily do a spread with it. And the past life spreads are like a lot of cards. So it just makes it difficult. But the different time periods and cultures that are, you know, depicted in this deck are friggin' awesome. But size, size matters, guys. At least for me it matters. So, what else? Oh, like we were talking about packaging. This is Llewellyn. It's like, I'm getting a little bit worn here. I love The Everyday Witch. I think this is a great book. It's heavy. I love The Everyday Witch. I've got to, you know, do it again, edge it, because it's starting to come off. But the packaging, I don't mind, because it's got a big book. The book is wonderful, so it makes sense to have a good box. And because Llewellyn, they try to keep much, at least the ones that I have, the same kind of boxes, they're easy to store on a bookshelf, and they look good. So that's partly something for me too, because having Virgo energy in me, I like to keep things organized. I don't like to have like different sizes all over the place, so I keep different, you know, correct, similar sizes in like certain areas. So this deck, absolutely, I love that you can fan it really good. I love the artwork. It speaks to me. I can relate to this. And I love the colors. But on top of that, Llewellyn is just like, and I have used this deck a lot, and I have shuffled it a lot, and it never wears down, it never bows. You can just do like the best shuffling with these decks. And even though they're thin and kind of plasticky, they are like, to me, it seems like they're indestructible. I don't have any edges that are coming apart or anything. It doesn't keep a bow, nothing. It's wonderful. So even your less expensive decks can be great. It just depends on you. But for me, I like it. So let's see. So I've talked about the guidebook. I think themes, learning, also something that is now a deterrent for me, now that I have gotten quite a few decks, is the fact I ask myself, oh my gosh, I can't believe how long this is. I ask myself whether or not I already have something that's similar, so I don't get something that's similar again. So I ask myself also if it is something, if I am buying a tarot deck, do I have an oracle deck already that it'll pair with really good, or vice versa? Do I have a tarot deck that I love and I see this oracle deck that it will be perfect? I think of that as well. Some of my deterrents definitely are animals and tarot. I like animals in oracle. I don't really prefer animals in tarot. I don't like anything that is going to be insensitive or vulgar unnecessarily, that it does not fit the theme. Nah, I don't need that. Overly sexual. Nah, I don't need that. With tarot, nah. If it's like a love and sex kind of oracle, okay, I can see that. But in a tarot, I don't think it's necessary. I don't like a deck that is taking artwork, unless it just really, really works. But 9 times out of 10, I have seen that when somebody is just trying to put a tarot deck together and they use artwork from, an archive or something like that, it just doesn't work for me. I like a deck that is actually created, that the artwork is created for that particular deck. I think that, for instance, this particular, it doesn't need a guidebook. It would have been nice, but it doesn't need a guidebook because it's your basic Rider-Waite-Smith. Now, if you're working with something like a Marielle Tarot that takes from 3 different systems, it's a marrying of those systems, I think it is important. If it does not have a good guidebook, it's definitely a deterrent for me. Color palette, if there's hardly any color, or color only in a few. Now, I'm not talking about black and white. I do like black and white. I have a few black and white, or sepia or something like that. But I'm talking about something that has just a little bit of color here and there. Nah, that's not usually what I like. That's a deterrent. And all of these Rider-Waite-Smith clones that come in different colors, or nah, I'm not a huge fan of Rider-Waite-Smith artwork to begin with. Why would I want it in just a different color? That's definitely a deterrent for me. So there you have it, guys. I am so sorry that this is so long. Who would have thought that, that I would have so many different opinions about what after, 2 years? But it just goes to show that most of the things that are my, delights are also in return what deters me. But it doesn't always completely stop me, because there's other things, I will compromise, or there's exceptions to the rule for various reasons. So I hope to see other people doing this, and it's a good way of seeing other people's decks as well, maybe that you don't have, or learning about something else, or checking on the cardstock if you're a cardstock snob, or the backs, or what have you, the various different reasons. So thank you, Julie, for starting this wonderful hashtag, and I am sending you guys love and light. Thank you.